Hello and welcome back to another experience with DyVerse Conversations. I'm Dahlia Minnette. Today we wanted to talk to you about a wonderful organization named Pillars. We've invited founder and CEO of Pillars NYC, Felecia Pullen, to come and have a conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Along with Felecia, we also have Clarissa Blanco, who is a certified peer recovery advocate, a volunteer and team coordinator for Safe In, and Henriette McNeill, who recently started with Pillars, but has her own unique experience to share with us about Pillars. We also wanted to talk to Felecia about an exciting benefit concert that's going to happen in September. But before we do that, Felecia, please tell everyone how important this organization is to Harlem and to New York as a whole.
Wow, thank you for having me today, Dahlia. It's an honor to be here. The Pillars is really special from the front door all the way through to the yoga room. And I think what makes it genuinely an important place not only to Harlem, but also to Manhattan as a whole, is because it was the first state-funded recovery community and outreach center that was in the borough of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. From Henriette, who is actually at the front desk, to Devin, who is in the yoga studio, everyone who comes through the doors is greeted with love. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a unique experience that you don't find in some of the other recovery communities and outreach centers.
So you said the methodology of Pillars is a holistic approach. Mm-hmm. So for those people not really knowing about what that means, can you explain to everyone what it is that you do? Absolutely.
This is a very unique approach because typically what you find is treatment and counseling. Mm-hmm. We don't do any treatment and we don't do any counseling. What we do is offer supports for people who are in recovery. And what that means is yoga, meditation, acupuncture. We also have parenting skills enhancement classes and peer recovery coaching as workforce development. So we really reach not only the individual, but we offer services that are holistic to reintegrating back into the family and into the community, and then finally back into society as a whole.
Now, I know that you mentioned parents and children, so I think that people don't realize that recovery is not just for the person who has misused substance abuse, right? Or substance misuse. Mm-hmm. It's also the family. Mm-hmm. So when you say holistic, you do encourage them to bring the family?
Absolutely, and I think that that's one thing that's really special about the Pillars. Mm-hmm. On Mondays at 11 o'clock, we have a family yoga class. On Saturdays at the Afrofusion dance to live drums, you can find an 8-year-old dancing next to a grandmother. And so the beautiful thing is that we offer services that allow the family as a whole to heal.
Okay. And how has that been received in Harlem?
To date, and so we had our grand opening on November 28th of 2017, mm-hmm. and to date we have had over 10,000 class participants, which is huge. Every month we have approximately 745 to 845 individuals coming through the door.
Wow, and this is open 7 days a week?
It used to be open 7 days a week, and I was in there, but now we're open 6 days a week, and the hours are from 10 to 5, but we also in the evenings house mm-hmm. NA and AA meetings, mm-hmm. and so there are many evenings on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays that we're open outside of the 10 to 5 hours, and then on Saturday we're in there from 10 to 3.
Okay, so Clarissa, can you explain to everyone what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I kind of wear 2 hats at the center. My first hat is being a certified recovery peer advocate, and I actually trained to be one at the Pillars with Friends for Recovery New York, and it was free. I got a scholarship to do that. So I decided to volunteer my time in that way. I've been trying to get in the door for a little while with Felecia because I really value the holistic approach. So I do that on one end, and on the other end, I'm a team coordinator for Safe in Harlem, like you were mentioning. Right now, we have 2 youth that are actually employed with us. Mm-hmm. They were recently employed by Felecia. And we are doing so many different things, so many different projects, but they are doing like marketing and public relations, and we're going to do a dissemination project that we're probably going to speak about soon. So I do those two things, you know, in a big sense, but I think that I really just like to be there and spend my time there and talk to the people that are there and assist Henriette and Felecia as best as I can.
So this is going to be your career then. This is it for you, where you want to be, where you want to focus on, and
I'm not sure, you know. I think I have a passion for wellness, and I think that outside of substance misuse, mental health is a really big issue in the minority community, and oftentimes we don't really see how substance use or misuse and mental health go hand in hand. So really, if we kind of, I guess, tackle both things alongside like reproductive justice stuff, I think that we could bring the collective to, you know, healing. So yeah, I guess I do want a career in healing, but this is a really good place to be and start a one-on-one.
Right. So Henriette, I've been told that you have a very unique story. You work there now.
Yes.
But you were actually someone who came into the offices there as...
I came into Pillars one day for an NA meeting.
Okay.
And I noticed that they had this big calendar in the room that had all of these things, all these programs listed on the calendar. And I wasn't feeling too great. I was in a state of depression at the time. But somehow I came back and I started to do the acupuncture. I started to do the Reiki and the guided meditation. And had been in a state of depression for almost a year. My grandkids did not want to come in my room. But somehow I managed to get up and go to Pillars for about 6 months consecutively. As I said, I was in a state of depression. And doing that, the Reiki, the guided meditation, the acupressure, I stopped taking the antidepressants, but I don't remember when I stopped. I just remember receiving a phone call from the pharmacy saying it's time for you to come and pick up your medication. And I'm like, oh. I was no longer taking the medication. And I think one of the biggest things for me was Felecia had her first anniversary. And I received a plaque that said, commitment to self. And that meant a great deal to me. Coming from depression and not having the ability to show up for yourself and to show up no longer in depression because of the holistic approach was great. And every time I felt down, I would look at that plaque and I would go into the Pillars because it was a commitment to myself. And I've never did a holistic approach before. I never thought about it. But when I realized I was no longer taking antidepressants, I knew something was working, you know. And I came in one day and I said, Felecia, I need a job. And honestly, I was joking in the beginning. I came back the next day and they said, when can you start?
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And I've been there since February of last year until current. And I'm grateful for the Pillars. I'm in recovery 25 years. Recovery is an ongoing process. It never stops. It's always continual. And sometimes in the process, you do get stuck. And a holistic approach is better than taking medication. You know, so I'm really grateful for the Pillars. I'm grateful for Felecia's vision that this could work. And I'm grateful to be a part of the Pillars.
I think one of the things that amazed me is that I never thought about recovery as being lifetime. And I know that many people don't think of it that way. You think of it as it's a cure for 6 months, sort of like a diet, and then you go on about your life until something happens. And so an approach that you've taken, Felecia, and that it's something holistic, it's something that you continually upgrade in your life and you continually make it a part of your life, is amazing, because this type of recovery is something that's integrated, like you said, and it's woven into every fabric of your life. I know that you not only do the yoga and the dancing and the acupuncture, you also do workforce planning and development. And so you offer all of these things to the community. Your community legislators and your politicians, how have they received that and how have they given support?
That's a great question. I have yet to meet a legislator or anyone in the current administration who has anything other than glowing remarks for the Pillars. The Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer, is amazing. She comes to almost every event that we have, from door hanger disseminations in NYCHA in the community. She herself has gone door to door with us and placed door hangers on doorknobs to inform the community, to, Inez Dickens, Mayor de Blasio, Governor Cuomo, Cy Vance, they all know who we are. They come in, they support the vision, the mission. They also respect the expertise that we bring to the table. Because one thing about the Pillars, it's not just about the feel-good moment, but it is also about the education that we can impart not only on the individual that is inside, but it is community-based organizing and community-based education and environmental impact strategies that really create a change on a mass scale.
Okay. And before we go and take a look at Pillars, I want you to also tell them that what you accept as donations, because that impressed me when you took me into the closet.
Yeah.
Your little designer closet. So tell everyone what you accept as well.
It's just absolutely amazing to be able to see the vision in fruition. So we have this very special, and it's certainly more than a closet. It's a life-changing, almost through the looking glass moment for many. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? Go in and literally transform, because it's an opportunity to go shopping. And so Henriette placed bags by the front desk that an individual can pick up, and they go into this closet. And so whether they need baby clothes or men's shoes or women's dresses because they have an interview, or I mean, we've had individuals that are living in shelters and may not have had an opportunity to grab anything when they left home, and can go into this closet and completely say, I'd like that, and that, and put them in the bag, or change right there in the moment, and walk out feeling brand new. It's just amazing to see them glow. And we had a woman come in today, and she had a big bag of clothing, and all she could do was just stop and say thank you. And that's, we don't do it for gratitude. Right? We do it because everybody deserves dignity and respect. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it's that little thing that gives you that opportunity to feel special.
Tell everyone where Pillars is located in Harlem.
This is my favorite part. Pillars is located at 289 St. Nicholas Avenue, and that's between 124th and 125th Streets, and we are steps away from the A, B, C, and D trains. So, hey, let's take the A train.
So I had the honor of going to Pillars 2 Saturdays ago, and I was amazed and I was floored at the people that were in Pillars, the volunteers that were there. I even got some ear pressure or acupressure, but I want to call it ear pressure because I literally at the time was not feeling my best. And she says, well, I'm going to have you see George. So I'm going to call him Mr. George, who made me sleep so well that night.
Wow.
And so I thank you, Mr. George, first of all. I did go to sleep that night, and I slept wonderfully for about 4 days.
Wow.
And the people who came in and out of that building, you saw joy. And I would go there just to go there. So I would encourage anyone who feel that they need help, who feel that they need a hand, who feel that they've reached that wall, to go. Whether you are the person that needs recovery, that family members that are in recovery, because you're not alone, to go. I would say come and see Felecia, come and see the staff that works there. We're going to take a break. I'm going to show you some things that have happened there at Pillars, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Felecia, and welcome to the Pillars. That logo is in 4 pieces for a reason. The largest section is how do we use the services here to really become reintegrated back into ourselves. Yoga, meditation, acupuncture, and Reiki are a great way to do that. How do we focus in on becoming reintegrated into our families? We have parenting skills enhancement journey, adult children of alcoholics, and domestic violence prevention and batterers accountability classes. The third piece of that logo is how do we become reintegrated back into the community? We've held community mental health first aid trainings, Narcan overdose prevention trainings, and then we ask, what are your talents and how do you come back and give back in the form of volunteerism? Every instructor in here is a volunteer and they show up on time every time, so we welcome you to come back and do the same. The final piece of reintegration at the Pillars is getting reintegrated back into society. To date, we have served over 175 men and women to receive their OSHA certification. We have helped individuals with GED training and computer skills classes. So we welcome you to come on in, take advantage of the 4 pieces of the Pillars, and we'll see you when you get here.
We're back. Before there was a Pillars, there was Felecia Pullen. It's her story that laid the foundation and helped to build what's an amazing organization for those in substance misuse recovery. I asked Felecia if she and her family would graciously share that story with us. We have her husband Arnold Lewis and her son Cameron, and thank you for being with us this evening. And they're here to share their story and their journey to recovery. Felecia, is it all right to start from the beginning? The very beginning.
The very beginning,
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so how old were you when you first started using?
I think I have to say, and I'm going to preface with, I grew up in the 60s, in the 70s.
Tell that part.
That's your cue to go. You look really great
You
for
look
having grown up.
fantastic for 20. Okay.
Thank you. But I mention that because the culture, and especially the urban culture, and especially the urban culture in Harlem, which is where I was born and raised, was that of, marijuana and alcoholism and substance misuse, especially among people that were coming back from war in Nam. And so it was not uncommon when I was growing up to be around substances, whether inside of my home or outside. And so I was really young when I first smoked marijuana, actually, but cigarettes came before that.
Right.
So it's very interesting how there are some things that we acknowledge and consider as substance misuse, and especially at a young age. But yeah, it started with picking up cigarettes behind adults, and certainly included drinking out of cups that were laying around, to smoking marijuana, and I can remember doing that at around the age of 9.
Right. And I think what's important for people to know is that, people get this idea in their head of what a person that uses drugs would look like. And so for most people, when they look at you, they think you're not the average drug user. So tell people what the average drug user looks like.
I certainly think that the average user looks a lot like me. The average user looks a lot like your local physician, your local dentist, your nurse, lawyer. And so we don't have to look under bridges and on park benches to see an average user.
Right. And I think, and you and I have spoken, and I know I always say that they're functioning addicts because many of them hold down regular jobs, they have families, they can be politicians, they can be actors and actresses, they can be a receptionist, they can be, like you said, a doctor. And they're no different from sometimes the people that you see on a park bench. And sometimes the people that are on a park bench, it may have started because of a mental issue. And I'd like to ask you this question, Arnold. When you met Felecia, did you also grow up in Harlem?
No, I'm from the Midwest.
The
originally.
Midwest,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So then when you met Felecia, she was already using drugs. Were you aware that
No.
she was using it?
No.
And so, Felecia, you hid it pretty well from him.
Absolutely, and from everyone.
Right. And when did you notice that there was a problem? Was it after you were married or
No, before.
before?
Yeah.
And then what made you decide to stay with her? Because everyone does something different. So what was your decision? What was your journey? And I know that you love her dearly, but what was your decision to stay?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest driver were the kids. You know, that's probably pretty typical. Yeah, I would say that's the biggest driver. Yeah.
And was it a pivotal point for the both of you? I knew it was going to be hard, and I thank you for
But it's
talking
okay.
about this.
Thank you.
What was the point where you said enough is enough?
You know, it's interesting because one thing about substance misuse is that everyone's rock bottom is completely different. And so I didn't lose, and so the reason why it was so easy for me to hide the use was because I didn't lose the trappings, because Arnold was a safety net, if you will, for me, which kept me from losing the trappings that others might have recognized earlier as a rock bottom. And so I didn't lose the house, and I didn't lose the car, and I didn't lose the kids, and I didn't lose the job, and so I had this this foundation, even though it was really rooted in quicksand, because it couldn't last forever. And so one day, Arnold actually came home and he said, look, you know, you got to do something, you got to go somewhere. And that was enough for me, because I had already been thinking about it, but I just wasn't brave enough. I didn't have the courage enough. I needed that extra push that he gave me to say, hey, you got to fix this.
And I think what's important for people to understand was that, you know, you went to college. You're very educated. You're a very brilliant woman, by the way. A very smart, very beautiful woman. And you had an addiction that you hid for so long, and truly hid it within yourself, buried it deep inside. When you finally decided to go and get help, how difficult was that? And did you go with your husband? Did you take him along with you? Did you walk through those steps together? Can you explain what happened?
I don't think that it was hard once we came to the conclusion that the jig was up. And so I remember I used to watch Intervention.
We used to watch it together.
And
It was like a subtle hint.
and it was like, you know, this desperation of, I really wish somebody would, you know, come in and help me. And there was this commercial on Intervention that I used to watch all the time for Palm Partners. I was like, ooh, that looks like a great place to go for recovery. It looks like easy recovery.
You said it out loud, or you just said?
No,
oh,
it was
okay.
it was a self-talk. It was a self-talk.
Okay.
Because we still weren't talking about the issue and the addiction and the use. we still weren't talking about it out loud, but you know, we both were well aware. And so when Arnold said, listen, you got to find some place to go before I come home. Right?
Okay.
I was like, oh, Palm Partners, because it was on intervention. So there's a plug for Palm Partners. And I called them. And, you know, the funny thing, they were like, so are you ready to get on the plane now? Like, not quite. You know, I was going to Florida. It was in April. I still needed shorts and sandals. But that's the stall.
Okay.
Right, that's the stall. I wasn't ready at that minute, but I was getting there.
So, so you finally got there. You went through the process. Did you have any setbacks?
No, once.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That was it.
That was
You were
it.
definitely ready. I mean, it was your time.
I was sick
It was difficult.
being
though.
sick.
Yeah.
as they say, sick and tired.
So then you hit the wall.
Being sick
you
and tired.
definitely hit the wall. And when you hit big time then.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So let's get past that part. So now you've come home. You've taken those steps, and I know it's not
But
difficult.
the come home is
you
a
know.
great story, though.
Yes, let's hear
The
that.
come home
Let's
is
hear
actually a
that.
great story. We had gotten in, because I went to Florida, so we had gotten in at about 3 in the morning. And it was actually on his 10th birthday
Okay.
that I came in the house. And so, you know, we're trying to tiptoe around because I didn't never mention to Cam. I would, you know, talk to the kids on the phone from Florida. So I never told him I was coming home
Right.
on his birthday. And so we're tiptoeing through the house. And he comes out of his room at 3 in the morning. And we weren't making noise. And he goes, "Mommy?" Which was just it, right? It's just it. And it was just like, yeah, you know, I
Right.
felt that he just felt me home. It was great to come home whole.
So you were very, very young. So did you even know or sense what was going on?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
So when your mom went away, what did you think? She just went on a vacation or a
It's
business
just
trip?
vacation to Florida.
Business
It's
trip.
not too uncommon for business trips
Right.
or just anything.
So now as a young man and you see your mom, well, we'll hold back on that question because I want to get her to where she is now. So after you come home, did you resign from your job? Because you actually were in a 6-figure job in marketing. You were making the coins here. Wait a minute.
Which is, you know, really what helped to feed, you know,
So
the pot
did you
of the
resign
addiction.
before you went into recovery or after you came back? Or were those part of your triggers for you?
Before I went in, I was doing contracting work at that point. So I was no longer on salary at any particular magazine. I was doing contract work. And so it was really easier, right, than had I had to go to an employer and say, hey, listen, you know, I need to resign because I'm dealing with an addiction.
Okay.
And so I didn't have the difficulty that many have in doing that, right? I have to take a step back from work and go and deal with my illness because it
Right.
is a disease.
It is a disease.
And so I did not have that pressure. And I was just free to go. But what I did while I was there, I made a very conscious decision that I was not going back
Okay.
to selling ad space anymore.
Okay. Definitely a life-changing.
Yeah, it was a
So you-
life-changing journey.
You came back and you went to school, right?
I did. You know, I remember going, okay, what do I want to do while I was in treatment? And, you know, I always think I'm a boss lady, so I put the staff to work for me in the facility. I'm like, okay, so I need you to find me all the meetings when I come home, and I need you to tell me where all the school opportunities are that I can take advantage of because I want to become a counselor. I'm in treatment, right? And I'm like, I want to become a counselor.
Okay, so you know what? And then that laid the foundations for Pillars.
And that laid the foundations for the Pillars.
So I tell you what, now we come to the big announcement. I want you to tell everyone what's happening September 21st.
On September 21st, we are having our first annual jazz benefit concert.
Yay!
Yay! And it will be held at the Symphony Space Theater on 95th and Broadway.
And
headlining is platinum and gold album owning, deserving Najee.
Grammy nominated.
And Grammy nominated. We are also having Peter Collins and Sherrod Barnes.
And guess who's on the red carpet? It's DyVerse Conversations. Yes. Monique Johnson will be back on the carpet with me. And
just added is Michael Collier hosting
so
the show.
We're going to have links where you can purchase your tickets, and you can purchase them on the Symphony Space website.
That's correct.
You can also purchase them with the links that we're going to provide for you that will link up to their website, or you can go directly to them. If you'd like to make donations and you can't get to Symphony Space because this is going all over the place, and you'd like to make a donation, whether it's $1 or $5 or whatever you'd like, we're also going to have links provided for you. Like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Pillars is also on those: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Absolutely.
And you can see a little bit more things coming up in the upcoming weeks leading up to September 21st. So I hope to see you at the concert. I hope to see you all on the red carpet. Come and meet us all. My name is Dahlia Minnette, and thank you for watching DyVerse Conversations.